Yo guys, it's JJ here, and today I'm going to be walking you guys through how Bentley Coupe makes dope beats for young Nudy, especially of course on his new album that just dropped a few weeks ago, Rumbo. Dope album, super dope beats, uses a lot of interesting sounds. Of course, that's how Bentley Coupe does it, he brings the vibe. But before we get into this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys want to see. I appreciate all the support. We're going for 1K by the end of this Easter, so really hope we can achieve that. And as well as that, in the description I've got a bunch of free drum kits for you guys, so help yourself to it. It's a great sound to help evolve your drum sound, do what you need to do. But let me not waste your time, and let's just get straight into the video. So first things first that you need to know, we're using a BPM of 158 and it's in a scale of A sharp minor, and the first plugin we are using is Purity. If you did not know, Bentley Coupe loves to use Purity, Expand 2, these kind of sounds when it comes to young Nudy beats. I really think they're the go-to ones. So for the first sound we actually used was obviously from Purity, as I've just said, and we are going into the fast synth bank, and the synth we've chosen is the SFZ step. Different sounds. It's a nice little bouncy synth, as you guys will hear just now. First of all, this is what the pattern looks like. It's a nice pattern that repeats literally every 4 bar, giving it a nice bounce, for young Nudy to do his thing. You don't want to keep these beats complicated, you want to keep them relatively straightforward and simple. So of course you want to have a simple melody with it. So now let me just break this down for you guys. First things first, when we look at this 4 bar here, I start off with just a normal minor chord, then going into here to add to the bounce. It's kind of like doing that 808 bounce, as you can see where I've placed these 2 chords. I play essentially the same chord that was on here, just move this from an F to an F sharp. Notes that are 1 semitone apart, like here and here, are really good for this nice little dark vibe, so always go for those. And that's pretty much all I did. I just played these 2 in, took away the middle note, and came down here, placed these 2 notes, and then played it again, kind of like how I did here, but instead of changing the top note, I changed these 2 bottom notes to root notes, and then just played this nice little C and repeated it for a full 8 bar. And without further ado, this is what the sound sounds like. And there you have it, and as you can hear already, a nice little bounce going, a nice little vibe, of course, that will suit young Nudy. As for the effects, I've honestly kept it quite simple because I really just believe in just good sound selection. Really takes it a long way. So as you can see, we've got ourselves a basic EQ, cutting off everything below 200 Hz. And then I've added this fair amount of reverb from Valhalla Vintage Verb, cutting off a lot of the low reverb as well because you don't want that blur into the low end. And then last but not least, I stereo separated it only 14%, just widening the chords a bit, so it's not just too far front, but it's also a bit stereo separated. And next up, we got ourselves yet again another sound from Purity. First thing, as you guys can see, is it's from the bank fast synths again, and I'm using a preset called DW plus 0.5. That's the name of it, but dope sound. And as you guys can see, it's essentially just a counter melody, and again, as I said, simplicity is key. So all I did was just repeat it 4 bars to make it a full 8. We're using these notes that are in tension, the F, the F sharp, and even the C. You see what I'm saying? Just this nice little dark ambient vibe going, and where I've placed them just sounds really good alongside the melody. So without further ado, this is what the counter melody sounds like. And there you have it, and as you can see, complements the melody very nicely, sounds super fire already, and we've only just used 2 sounds. As for effects, again, we've got ourselves another EQ, cutting off a lot of the lows and some of the mids. Then I added this nice little bit of delay from Fruity Delay 3, and this is the presets I kind of inputted myself manually. I do recommend adding a bit of delay, because when you have a counter melody that's a bit dry, adding that delay, it brings the sound to life a bit, in my opinion. It gives it a bit more of a thickness to the whole melody. And then of course, we've got ourselves more Valhalla Vintage Verb, just adding a bit of ambience to it, and of course that reverb is needed. As for stereo separation, I stereo separated this 52%, just so again it's a bit wide, laid back in the back, not too far front in your face. And now for the final melodic component, we have got ourselves a preset from Expand 2 called the Resonating Lead, and if I'm not mistaken, it is from the Soft Leads bank. So if you watched my videos before, you'll know very well I've used this in glow tutorials a lot. It's a very good sounding lead. I really enjoy the sound of it, and it's a trendy, catchy sound, and it again suits that young Nudy vibe that Bentley Coupe always goes for. So as we look at the pattern here, it's another 4 bar that's just been repeated, quite simple and straightforward. And again, we start off with the root note, but after that we focus on these 2 notes here, the F, the C sharp, and the C. So I actually meant 3 notes. The thing I'd like to point out about these 3 notes again is they are all within this kind of 1 semitone apart, as you can see here, giving that tension, giving that dark vibe. That's how we get the sound going. Simplicity, repetitiveness, good sound selection. Very, very important. And before we play the full melody together, as for effects, I've got myself another EQ, very simple, cutting off all the lows. And again, a bit more reverb, just adding some ambience, you know, softening the sound a bit even. And then for stereo separation, I didn't add any because I wanted the sound to kind of be in the forefront of it all, you know, the main part is the lead, so that's why I did that. And now, without further ado, this is what the melody sounds like. And there we have it. As you can see, it's only a free melody. As you guys can see, it's only a free sound melody. It's super hard, does the job, and it's again simple, repetitive, again young Nudy vibe. And the last thing before we move into the drums, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but this whole beat, to be honest, was inspired by the song Okra off the album. I really enjoyed it and thought, you know what, let me just get a bit of inspiration for the melody. Now, of course, it's time to get into the drums. And the first thing you need to know is we're starting off right here with a clap pattern. Very basic, simple, but straightforward. You know, hits every third measure within a beat. Not much more to explain. And as for the hi-hats, we kept it simple as well. Basic 2-step. So, without further ado, this is what the hi-hat and the clap sound like. And there we have it. Now, for the 808, we have used a Spins 808, but a distorted version, also known as the Pierre Bourne distorted 808, used from, you know, his song Hack My Instagram Part 2. And from what you guys can see right here, the pattern is relatively simple. All I did was just follow the root notes. Then I kind of switched it up a bit, I can't lie, I just followed the pattern myself, went with what I sounded good. Because again, with these kind of young Nudy beats, especially when Bentley Coupe makes them, I've noticed that he doesn't always stick to the root notes. He kind of just finds a nice little bounce between the 808 and the melody, because at the end of the day, the 808, even though it is a drum, it's kind of a melodic component because, you know, you're listening out for the pitch, the different notes. So that's why I did that. And the last thing you need to know, of course, is clicking Control A and using your right scroller wheel will allow you to max your velocity out on your 808 and your kick. This is important because it makes your 808s harder, it makes your kick hit harder, and it just makes your beat sound much more trap, which is what we want. And as for the kick pattern, as you guys can see real quick, it is essentially just the 808 pattern, but just followed as a kick. Quite simple and straightforward. So without further ado, this is what the 808 sounds like. And there we have it. Next up, we got ourselves these little perks I've added in, so I'm just going to run you through them quite quickly. First one we've got is called that Do That Stuff perk. As you can see, it sounds like this. And I play literally every 4 bar on this exact measure here. Then the next perk we've got is what we call the EA triangle, of course from Young Nudy's hit song EA. And it sounds like this. And I again play it every 2 bar just at the beginning because, you know, a nice little bounce, a nice little vibe. And then last but not least, we have got ourselves one more perk which I play at the end of every 4 bar right here. And it's that gun perk that we all know from EA as well, actually. I didn't realize that. Without further ado, this is what the whole beat sounds like. And there we have it, folks. That's the full beat. But before we wrap this up, let me walk you through the structure of the beat that I of course made. First things first, we got ourselves the intro, of course, and you know what, this intro is kind of what I did in the previous tutorial, but I'm gonna walk you through it again. First thing you need to know, I essentially just rendered out this whole pattern here, which is the drums, the melody, everything, into this nice little audio file here. Then I right-clicked this little part up here, set the range to 12, right click, go into create automation clip, and it creates this nice little pattern thing down here for the automation. All that essentially does is it messes with the pitch of the audio, and what I did was I went from like -12 back to the original octave, giving it this nice kind of like dope effect. And then to further add on to the effect, I went onto the tempo, right clicked, created an automation clip again, and then just dragged this from the middle all the way down, up until like 3/4 into the 8 bar, so as you guys can see up from here. So to demonstrate what I've just explained, this is what it sounds like. And there you have it. As you can see, it's a super dope intro, interesting for producers and artists to hear, gives a nice little energetic vibe coming up into the actual chorus. So that's why I did that. Now, of course, it's time to walk you guys through the chorus. First things first that you need to know, my chorus, the way I structured it, is just 2 18 bars, which is, you know, a full 16. First things first, we got ourselves just essentially the whole melody playing apart from the lead. Got all of the drums apart from the gun perk. And then for the second half, I introduced the whole melody itself, so including the lead, introduced the gun perk, you know, giving it a bit of variation. Then coming into the verse, we got ourselves this nice little free 8-bar loop. First starting off with only the main part of the melody, the clap, a hi-hat, and the 808 without the kick. Then from there, we are entering the main section of the verse. So I reintroduced the lead to give it a bit more of a vibe, you know, just introduce some new stuff. Add in the kick and these perks in, you know, to really up the kind of vibe of it, you know, give the artist that energetic feel. And then I have this nice little breakdown for the last 8 bars, you can see. Only the 808 and all of the melodic components playing as well. And then all I do is copy and paste it over, you see, the chorus becomes the same again. Copy and paste the verse again. And then finally, the third chorus, wrapping up the whole beat. So, you guys have made it to the end of the video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you like this kind of style of what I do. And of course, any suggestions, leave them down below. Make sure to comment and subscribe and all that jazz, you know the deal already. And of course, thanks for watching. Peace.